wool weft with a linen warp and a linen tabby. And this is absolutely beautiful. As juror, I get to touch things, and the hand on this cloth is gorgeous. Congratulations. So we'll move on over here. I love these works. I love the blue. It's really nice to see the way, it's fun to see the way the colors interact. The blue flowers, you can definitely tell which flowers they were, the bluettes and the asters. And this particular piece, I did like this. Once I realized that it was all hand dyed, it was even more interesting because I like to see the merging of techniques. And it's pretty well balanced with using different size yarns. I just wanted to point that out. Over here, this is, oh, Lynn. Is Lynn here?
No, Big Island.
Oh, Big Island, okay. This was awarded the Tamari Award, which is the criteria for this was Asian. And I was a little bit intimidated, I will share with you, about being the person to award an Asian award. But the theme and the painted warp and the simplicity of the structure expressed the criteria aesthetic so clearly that it was obvious that to me that this had that Pacific iconography and theme. And the symbolism of the hook clearly is evident and highlights the artist's inspiration. So I really appreciated her work. And plain weave is one of the most technically difficult weaves because every single beat, every single mistake will show. You don't have wild colors to hide it. You have, it takes constant attention. So I also appreciated the basic simplicity of it. Landscapes, environment, oceans, and everybody's inspiration from them. But it was this work that won the Halcyon Award. The most unique interpretation, the wild swans. It's the dimensional interpretation of the well-known fairy tale, and it perfectly illustrates the impression of flight. This work makes me feel the story, and I knew exactly what it was, and I want to read the story again just because of the interpretation and the presentation. It's interesting, you know, so many times you hear, oh, the way that chef did that presentation on the plate was just fantastic. Well, presentation does give that extra dimension and that extra understanding, just like an artist statement will. So when you can share that, it's just wonderful, and that's what I felt this piece did. This award is from the Eugene Textile Center, and it was for creativity. And while the technique that this weaver, Pauline, congratulations, nice to meet you, and while this weaver used traditional tapestry technique, it was the depth and texture that helped me see the breathtaking inspiration of the mountain range. And it stimulated my imagination when I close my eyes and pretend that I can experience that distance, you know, the jagged lines that always keep, like, for me, from New England, to see those lines, that the ridges that go down the mountains, the way this is pieced together and woven with different selvages, and then the depth, you could really highlight that or pull it back. to me, it really captured the creative intention to say, this won the award for the most creative and fun. It was very difficult for me to pull myself away from these specimen jars that have what looks like, I can only assume is like saran wrap or some kind of plastic in there. It was again, presentation, absolutely fantastic. So this award is the most creative and fun in weaving. Every single thing, every part of this is woven. And who is this? Linda He. Love it. Everything from the chicken wire with the army, what is it called?
Camouflage.
Thank you, camouflage cloth in here, and the wire, the presentation, and this, I'm serious, you want to go in there and you're like, what? Those are feathers, they look like little guinea feathers, the eyes, this pulls you in, and it's a sense of fun, and it also makes me both laugh and consider and appreciate the seldom seen life in the ocean. There's so many layers of meaning, and it's just totally fun. So this corner, it makes me feel like we are sort of stepping, again, we are moving to more creative dimensional work. I particularly like this technique of double weave. I really like this technique of the pigment. I shouldn't say I like a technique. I found this technique interesting, and I think that the concept and the inspiration for what can go on those woven plated boards has potential to really to keep going. I think this is a great start for that technique. And the coffee and the quilt rug, the coffee bags are a fun way to use those. Yeah, and realizing that coffee bags are those have the metal insert, you can't recycle them, which is so frustrating. But I wanted to comment on this piece, the simplicity of the plain weave. Again, I love it, but there was a part of her statement. She was inspired by the Irish wedding ring shawls, which are shawls that are knitted with such fine yarn that they can be pulled through a wedding ring. And I saw someone weave one once and demonstrate how she pulled it through the wedding ring, and it was literally jaw-dropping. And so for someone to be inspired by that is completely understandable, and I appreciate the way the exhibit designer also put the ring on the shawl, but that is, it's just a nice addition. We have some more fun interpretation. The Yarn Barn Award, Michelle, goes to, I wanted to call, it's Weavers at the Bottom of the World. My notes say sea worms. Inspired by your research and your trip to Antarctica. And it's the scale and the interpretation and the use of materials. The soft texture, this looks all soft and cozy, and I cannot imagine sea worms being soft and cozy. I think of them as cool, wet, slimy, and I don't see those as the colors, so the contrast was still able to tell me what inspired you. And they all found a voice in your final piece. The Webbs Award, the introspection of love and time is what I appreciated most about this piece, Suzanne. Again, it's the contrast between the gentleness of the concept of love and the sharp rhythmic edges of the metal and the moving hands of the clock. And that's what I saw when I was looking at it. And so that was why I thought it worthy of award. shape designs here, all in these works. To me, they show intention of use, and they're functional and beautiful, and it reminds me how much we want to surround our everyday lives with something beautiful and is of our hand. Movement of color, and not just movement of color, but the metaphysical meaning of color. For example, you've got this, sensations rising. I can get a clear sense of meditation and someone working on their aura and working through all those chakra centers. This person spiraling out of control, working with the differential shrinkage and asymmetry. Capturing a rainbow, it moves, it radiates in a way, and the same with this piece. And those cheerful responses, and this incredibly subtle chenille, black and blue, is almost this is so interesting the way that pulls you in. It's almost like a midnight sky. It could almost absorb me up into the color. Phenomenal. Allows the viewer to experience, to experience that piece. So congratulations to Anne. Or sunlight through boundaries. I can see the sunlight moving in and through and peeking from one end of the other. And another piece that helped me experience that moment of time. I could feel the inspiration. Congratulations. Okay. My silk has worms. I don't know who did this. I loved it. I giggled. It is fun. It was a great illustration of that type of weaving technique. It was really fun. And these pieces on your right-hand side, what I liked about these, and as you move around even to the blocks of color and this ICAT piece, again, the statements all share that inspiration for capturing iridescence of color and movement of pattern that is accentuated by color. Amazing job helping set up sight lines for works that just really allow a great flow through all of this. This piece by Susan Morey of Big Island, I gave the HGA award to. The title of this piece is Peacock Dreams. Once you hear the title, you can completely see the eye of the peacock. It's a unique interpretation. It's extremely personal in her artist statement. And there's a very individualized approach, expressing honor and acknowledging the source of fiber from a friend's wool farm. She and her daughter hand-dyed all the yarn from the farm, and the structure and the color show excellent technical skill demonstrated in dyeing the yarns, placement of color, mimicking the eyes of the peacock. Again, this piece stimulates the imagination, and the experience of the color through the depth of the structure is noteworthy. There are a few more awards. This particular piece, woven by Joan Namakun, Big Island, titled Symmetry. This was given the Eugene Textile Glamokra Award for complexity. It illustrates the attention and skill necessary to recreate the work of a craftsman from one medium to another. Joan reinterpreted the pattern in hand-woven work from metal. So she took something that was in metal or wood and then was able to reinterpret that design here. It again reflects her attention to detail as well as her understanding of the boundaries or limits that her equipment has. It's precise, it's rhythmic, it's eye-catching, and I do find it inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
This sweet piece here, this is a Yarn Barn Award of Recognition. It's simply beautiful. Again, it's the presentation of his or her skill, Virginia Taylor. It's a presentation of her skill that held me close. The spinning is gentle. There's a steady rhythm to the ply. The colors, it's not super tweedy, it's not slubby. It makes me feel like I'm being hugged, even just by the way it's displayed. Again, display is everything. So that was the display isn't everything, but it helps emphasize your artist statement. So the name together, yeah, I want to be in there. I want a hug.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the talk and the reasons why the awards were given. So thank you all.